Hi everybody, Paul Cameron here from speedupmyjobsearch.com, an online resource to find a good job faster. In this short 5-minute video, I want to explain why every section of this website approaches its subject with the goal of being likable. From the daily preparation to social media use, resume writing, and especially interviewing, the goal is likability. Now, to define likable, I'm not going to read you a dictionary definition of the word likable here. Very simply, what I mean by that is just common sense. Do people like you or not? Because the bottom line in job search is that these companies are hiring the person that they like the best, not necessarily the most qualified person. And I know that's not entirely fair, and I know that there's some very talented people who just aren't naturally likable. But you know what? It is what it is. You know, this is what's happening in the reality of the job market. So that's why I approach the job search process from a salesperson's perspective. I mean, obviously you're going in there to sell your best product, right, which is you, and there's techniques that salespeople use specifically to affect that likability factor. It's like they've broken down how to be likable into a science, into a step-by-step process where they've identified some universally likable human characteristics, and they know that if they can display those characteristics, what I would call dropping anchors, at strategic points throughout their sales call, that their percentage chance of being perceived as more likable increases dramatically. And a lot of these anchors that they're dropping throughout these interviews on their sales calls are very little things, right? But they make a big difference. For example, I'm sure you've heard 100 times already that you never want to speak negatively about your current or prior employers, right? Well, sure, it's basic psychology. When you speak negatively about other people, it reflects negatively on you. But what a lot of people don't take advantage of, especially in an interview setting, is that the exact opposite is also true. When you go out of your way to speak positively about other people, that reflects positively on you. It speaks to your character as a human being and says, hey, I'm a good person. And it's easy to like a good person. Where this comes into play is when somebody asks you why you're leaving your current position or why you left your last position. And I'll get into more detail on how to handle every type of reason why you would leave and how to answer that during the interview under the interview section of this site. But for this example, let's say you were laid off with 15 other people. Okay, so when they ask you why you left, rather than just saying, well, unfortunately, I was laid off with about 15 other people, which many people say, and don't get me wrong, that's not negative. It is what it is. It's honest, which is important. To me, rule number one in interviewing is to be honest, so that answer is good. But what if you started that exact same sentence out with, you know what, it was a great company and I love the people that I worked with, but unfortunately I was laid off with about 15 other people. That little compliment right at the beginning doesn't seem like it's a big deal. And you know, we both know that the hiring manager isn't going to say, wow, you just complimented that company. That was awesome. You know what? Here's an offer. You're hired, right? Obviously, that's not going to happen, but you're giving him one more little reason to like you. And if you give him as many little reasons as possible throughout the interview to like you, that's going to affect the outcome here. That's going to affect that little conversation he has with himself after you leave where he says, boy, I don't know what it was about that person. I just liked him. You know, and if you drop enough of these types of little anchors throughout your entire interview, they're going to add up, and your percentage chance of being perceived as more likable increases dramatically. Now, here's the thing. Being likable isn't just relevant to interviewing. It should drive the way you set up your desk at home, the social media tools that you use and how you use them, the way you organize your resume, and how you approach networking. Every aspect of your job search needs to work these universally likable human characteristics, the anchors I was referring to, into every part of your job search. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do on speedupmyjobsearch.com. Now here's your first assignment. Go through your entire resume and list out on a sheet of paper at least one reason why you loved every company that you've worked for so far. In my example, I said it was a great company and I loved the people there. In your case, you know what, maybe you worked for a terrible company and you hated everybody that you worked with. Well, you took the job for some reason, right? Maybe it was close to home, or maybe they had the technology that you loved working on, or whatever the reason. List out why you liked each company and get to know those reasons so well that when somebody asks you about those companies, that's the first thing you think of. Finding a good job quickly doesn't have to be stressful. You can do this. Now, get moving. It's time to get to work.